Hello everyone, how you all doing? So, I thought I'd do a video on my drum kits. Well, it's turning into drum kits. Originally, I just had my Gretsch Brooklyn kit, which if you watch the videos that I've been posting over the last year, the big orange kit, I've got two. I've got the 24-14, the 13-9, 16x16 floor tom, the big rock kit, which I love. And then I've got the one I use in here, my little baby jazz one, which I managed to pick up, which is a 20x14, a 14x14, and a 12x8, I think it is, rack tom. I absolutely love the sound of these drums. So I've been chasing that tone for 30 odd years until I discovered it with the Gretsch Brooklyn. I've had, what have I had? I started off with a Trek drum kit, second-hand piece of rubbish, which I bought my dad when I went out to upgrade my practice kit. Mum went mad, that was quite funny, and it wasn't going to come in the house, so I took a day off work and put it in my bedroom. And then I annoyed everyone for years. But it's paid off. Then I moved to a Tama Grandstar II, massive Metallica fan, ended up with the two kicks. What was it? 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, I even had the 18-inch tom, two 22s, massive kit for playing in front of 10, 15 people. But that's the way it goes, isn't it? Love that kit. Should have kept it really, but it's all the big power sizes, really heavy drums from memory as well. Then I went to a DW Collector's Series, Private Reserve, which was great, but I was always chasing a sound in my head with that. It recorded well, it looked, well, I mean, they look just immaculate, amazing. But the sound was never there. No matter the head combination, it just lacked that personality, that character. So I ended up selling that, and that's when I bought a cheap Mapex Meridian Obsidian Black Series drum kit, the 12, 16, 24, 14. And I really, really love playing that kit. Then I sold that because I wanted something a little bit more modern for the sound, for the project I was doing at the time. Got a Tama Starclassic Bubinga, which left me cold. Never really got on with that. Didn't get excited, I wasn't waking up itching to play it. I was really quite surprised with that actually, because I get such amazing reviews. But for me, didn't hit the spot. Then I went for the Gretsch Brooklyn, and I wish I'd done that, when they came out. Absolutely, I get excited to play that kit every time. But now with my band, Grammar Vendetta, which you can hear in the background, it's the new album coming out May 22nd this year. If you like what you hear, check out our channel with Grammar Vendetta on YouTube, and on Bandcamp you can buy the merch, you can buy the CDs, vinyl, whatever, it's all over there. I'll put some links in the description below. But with that, we've got a studio up in Crystal Palace, so we alternate from up there one week to down here the week after, vice versa, and that's the way it's going. And I didn't want to lug a whole drum kit around again for Crystal Palace. It's a real steep staircase. It's hard to get to, load in, load out. So I wanted something cheap, affordable, that I could leave up there, just take my cymbals, sticks, whatever, and make it work. So I revisited the Mapex Meridian Obsidian kit. And I managed to pick one up for £450, which you can see here. Ugh. So £450 with soft cases. I gave it a good clean yesterday. Yeah, got to put the front head back on yet, and the felt strips and that. But when I was cleaning it up and replacing all the heads, it reminded me why I didn't like it and why I got really annoyed with it at one point. So let me show you why. The shells, great. That maple birch shell, nice and thin. It's got a real nice sound to it. Punch, weight, that big boom out the kick. Everyone loved this bass drum who heard it. But my bugbear is the lugs, the hardware. These nut boxes fall apart. Go to swap out a head because something's gone wrong, and this bit goes into the lug. And there's a little plastic strip in there that stops that happening, and it falls out, and then you're stuck. The only way to get that out is take the lug off. And it happened to me yesterday on the tom and on the floor tom, and I thought I fixed it all. But yesterday, or last night when I was playing, if you can hear it, that rattle, I don't know if you heard it on the camera, that rattle that you can hear is the little plastic strip that's come out in the lug and is rattling around in there now. And the only way to sort it out is to take off every lug, push them back in, a little bit of foam, some of these acoustic panels, I've got a spare one, chop it up, poke it in there, put it back on, and it stops it coming apart. It's such a shame, because an awesome kit. I know it's not high-end gear, but you're still at a price point when this was new, so that shouldn't really happen. I think it's a real shabby design. Mapex, I don't know if you've changed it yet. I'd like to know that you have, because it's an awesome kit, but it's got that big frustration. I'm somebody that likes to change the drum heads regular. I know people that buy a kit and they keep the same heads on there. When I picked this up, it had the same heads that it came out of the factory with. I couldn't believe it. 10 years old. And of course you get all the wood chippings built up in the gap here between the head and the rim, and it muffles it, and you're just killing the drum. So much effort goes into getting a shell that resonates nicely in a controlled way, of course, and the heads do 50% of the work. And if you don't change out the heads over time, you might get that sound you're looking for, but you're stuck with it. If you've got a fresh head on there, you can always dampen it to control stuff. If you've got a dead head on there, you're stuck with a dead sound. That's just a real bugbear of mine. So when I stripped it down, the amount of muck that was on the floor was unreal. Anyway, so today, or tonight, I've got to strip the whole thing down, pack out the lugs, put it back together, and get it all good for rehearsal tomorrow. So, the kit's stripped down. Didn't do it last night. In the end, I went out instead to a local jam night. Got up early and did it this morning. But they're all stripped down. So I thought I'd show you quickly the shell and the bearing edge. So this is the birch maple ply. I've forgotten how many plies it is, probably about 5 I think, maybe 7. But they're quite thin, quite light shells. The overall finish is pretty good, to be honest. The wrap's okay. I'm always a bit niggled by the wrap joins. I just think they could be better, but again it's costs and all that kind of stuff. But overall, good quality, nice light shells. So let's go to the bit that is the niggle for me, the bit that really winds me up. Here it is, the lug. So you can see we've got the top bit here, and if we take off this rubber pad, you should be able to see inside. Let me have a look. It's hard to make out. You should be able to see inside. There's a little plastic strip about there that stops the lug, or the nut box I guess it's called, dropping in. That's the bit. Obviously it can't come completely out because the shell's here, but it gets loose and I think pushes through, and then this drops into the lug. Then you can't get it out, it's rattling around. And of course, once the plastic is loose in there as well, it also rattles. So today, I'm going to pack these little bits inside the lug with foam, stick it back together, put them all back on the shells. They won't rattle, no more noises, never fall apart again. So this is my fix for the lugs that fall apart. I've got some old foam here, like I say, from the acoustic treatment stuff. Just cutting chunks off, grabbing a lug, making sure that plastic is already in place. Shoving the foam in, just so it can't fall out. Easy as that. Put the rubber pad back on. Lug done. Rattling stops. Should never fall apart again. No more stress. That's the idea anyway. So, as you can see, I've got a few of these to do. Shouldn't take too long really. And it's one of those jobs, once it's done, you won't have to do again. So if you've got a budget, or you know, middle of the range rather, drum kit, and you're trying to get the absolute best out of it, little things like this can make the difference. Because when you go to change that head and you're reminded of the cheapness of some of the hardware, it just niggles you sometimes. You can start to dislike the characteristics of your kit, and it might not be anything to do with the sound. It's the fact it's a pain to change a head. So do this once, it will never wind me up again, and I will start enjoying the Mapex more. So I'm going to crack on, got a few of these to do, and then we will shove it all back together, learning the next Gamma Vedetta track as well for tonight's rehearsal. This one's called Transmission On. Nice little spacey vibe. So yeah. Hello. It's a good tune. Looking forward to tonight. So they've all got their foam in now, rubber pads on. You can see they're a little bit less wobbly, quiet when you shake them. Starting to put them back on the kit now, one at a time, with the help of my power tools. As you can see, there's a lot of screws, a lot of, luckily there's only one screw per lug. Just nipping them up, and I'll go through afterwards and hand tighten them, make sure they're all tight, no rattles, nothing moving around, and we should have a nice solid performing drum kit at the end of it. So, all the lugs are back on the drums now. I forgot to say, just make sure you keep your bass drum lugs separate from your tom lugs, because they're different sizes. Gonna put the bass drum back together now. Like I was saying in the video earlier, I use felt strips for dampening. It's just something I really like. It doesn't choke the drum too much. It lets you still breathe, but it just controls those tones. I'm not putting a fresh head on the bass drum. This is the one it came with, just purely because I haven't got one. And drum heads at the moment are still being a bit of a pain to get hold of, which is frustrating, but it's just the way it is in the world at the minute. So, put it on like so. Put the hoop on like so. Make sure it's the right way round. Where the bass drum claw goes, just here, just so it's not wearing in the same spot. Let me go and get the lugs, which are over, or the bolts that are over there. I've got some nerve thing going on. I'll get electric shocks in my fingers. Nice. Anyway, there you go. Nice thuddy sound, but if we come up with touch, maybe nothing major. Perhaps a quarter of a turn all the way around. There's a little slack. And again, this is all going to change once you're in the room, once you're at a gig. Yeah, maybe a tad high now. Anyway, there you go. So that's all I do. And then just get your scissors. Once your felt's in position, I'm not overly fussed about the cosmetic side of it, but obviously you don't want loads flapping around. Look at that, perfectly cut. I'm a professional. Keep it nice and tidy looking if you can. That's a bit better. One done. Do the other side, job done. So obviously I'm not mic'd up, but the kit's all back together now. Yeah, quite pleased with the way it sounds. Bass drum sounding nice. Toms will need a little bit of work, but I'll leave that till I get to the studio. But yeah, sounds all right. Any old rubbish in it. See you next time.